Greetings. Quite crowded out here today. People flying by on their bikes, which actually they're not supposed to do. But it's funny about being a human being, because all these people on Earth, they have completely unique perspectives, points of view, and in a way it's good. In a way it's, I won't say not good, but it represents an evolution of sorts. Here comes another bike. He's flying. And yep, there he goes. So I think what happens is that the perspective we have evolves and enlarges. Hi. Hello. Yeah, they're not flying. That's nice. So, anyway, as conscious beings in a conscious universe, we'll call that a theory for now. In a sense, we're reflecting back what's out there. Also, we see, we listen, and in a way listening is seeing also, I think. It's seeing, in a vibratory, oral sense. So, what about enlarging the perspectives? So a lot of the things I talk about out here have to do with larger perspectives on things, larger perspectives on humanity, the earth, and the universe. So anyway, a question might be regarding your perspective. It's like, how do you enlarge your perspectives? Well, experience is one. Also exercises such as role-playing, which is tied to imagination. But anyway, when it comes to all these disparate perspectives that we have of all the people on Earth, it's really as if the clock is ticking now, and how will people evolve? How quickly will they adapt, change, enlarge, basically, with this impending disaster looming? That's a good question, and relates to the earlier talks, of course, about our culture, child culture, addictions, things like that. So if you had a much, much larger perspective, more detached, more objective, of activity on the planet Earth, what would that be like? Well, it could be as if you were a visitor from another civilization, another species from another planet, coming and never having no familiarity with anything, no culture, no nothing.
I literally just lost you.
Stanislaw Lem, who has written some books on this subject.
The power you're putting out.
I hang out with them all the time.
Where the people are on a planet and there's stuff going on and they have no earthly idea of what it is, where it came from, and so on. There are factories operating, things are being constructed, they're being destroyed, they're being rebuilt, they're being destroyed, There's no idea how everything got that way. And it's an analogy to stepping into an alien culture with no reference points. And as such, it's a good exercise. So what happened in that story? It took a lot of time, effort, and work to unravel how things had gotten that way. And in our case, it might be difficult, it might be, depending, but it might not. But anyway, we can all benefit from having a broader, more universal perspective on everything that's happening. So, as a thought exercise, imagining the Earth as being you're an extraterrestrial visitor, seeing everything new for the first time. I mean, it's difficult, but that's why people write stories like Lems, for example. You may notice in social, well, not necessarily they're social, but people encountering each other, is that there seems to be a level of distrust, fear, which, you can figure where that's coming from. But in a way, I think you could call it projection, because they're nervous that you might do the things that they already are imagining, which is a little weird to contemplate, but there you are, in this sort of self-preservation survival mode thing all the time, and everything in the culture reinforces that. Hey. So, why not? I mean, your churches and so forth tell you you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to love everybody and everything, but you don't see that much of that. It's more of this sort of nervous quality. Of course, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm making them nervous. But I don't feel I'm projecting that. And then again, when it comes to people picking up on your energy, they may or may not be very sensitive to that. It may just be their own bath of energy that they're in all the time. So they apply that to everything. So anyway, what would it be like to visit the Earth from another life form? Oh. Somebody went right over this one. At any rate, I can't necessarily do that for you. I might be able to walk you through it a little bit. But what it essentially involves is dropping all your cultural baggage, or as much as you possibly can. But anyway, I imagine a lot of people's reaction would be like, well, I don't want to turn my back on my culture. It's who I am. It's like that's sort of the programming, or the dogma, or the belief system, or whatever you want to call it, that the culture, the history, and everything, that's what you are, that's who you are. And you might be more than that. It might be much more. And movies that toy with this idea. I guess Man Who Fell to Earth is one, but that role, that wasn't necessarily too far removed from human experience. And of course, if you go too far, then I suppose you're not going to have a very entertaining picture. People won't be able to relate to it. But 2001 in the sequels, you had what we would call today artificial intelligence, which is HAL, the computer, which is mimicking us, but doesn't really resemble our makeup emotionally and mentally. So here again, Stanislaw Lem, who pioneered a lot of fairly novel concepts in science fiction, touched on things like this quite a bit. So that's a thought experiment. If you came here from somewhere else and had no connection to who we are, and you saw us in the midst of our dilemmas and our problems, what would your prescription be? So that kind of prescription is larger and more, has a better perspective, broader perspective than us bringing our experience, such as it is, to the problem, which is essentially what caused it in the first place. You know, a visitor might look at us and say, well, every interaction that we have that's aggressive or an altercation is self-created. So, you know, for various psychological reasons. So when a problem happens, a war or an argument or anything like that, it's like, well, it takes two to do it, you know, two to show up, two parties or more. So how much of that is conscious or not, right? So anyway, our culture itself, as I've said before, with the emphasis on survival and competition, tends to foment situations like that. You know, I've made analogies in the past about things, you know, vampires, cultural vampires, things like that. But as a race, child race in a way, it's where we seem to be is like a baby. Imagine, visualize this. Baby, cartoon if you like, with a baby bottle, and on the baby bottle is written the word fear. So anyway, the situation on Earth is pretty damn daunting, and you've got people that are trying to focus on solutions, you know. You've got people who have written the whole thing off, who look the other way, who just are lost in their distractions intentionally, and those who have given up to the extent that their lifeline to hope is this idea of colonizing Mars or the moon or something like that. But I'm afraid that we would get into the same problem, you know, oh, we're going to go to Mars and start mining things and using resources and things like that. And of course, it's the same ball of wax because it's all finite. Anyway, that's it for today. If I had to title this, it'll probably be something about perspectives. And, you know, perspectives are important, but they're not at the same time. So, being able to let go of the things that you think give you a perspective, perhaps that's the true perspective. See you later.